Yep, we got it. The egg. Everyone's got that?
Alright. So we left it last time, everybody saw this shared document, correct? That was put out there, it was kind of a summary of where we left the 5 top priorities. I don't know how you guys took these back out to your buildings, if you conducted some sort of survey, or if you just spoke at your leadership meetings, but today we'd like to pare these down to 3 if possible. We do have another meeting next week, so if we can't get to 3 today, if it requires some more talk, more conversation, then we do have next week also. So you guys start, elementary, where are ya? You guys wanna start, maybe kind of brief what came out of your building?
Sure. We basically just shared this, we just called anyone that wanted to come to the meeting to come, we just put it up, and we just had conversations.
Okay,
People just threw out their ideas, questions, and then,
And Jenna, I did put notes on here.
yeah, I was just gonna say,
No, it wasn't this document, it was a different one.
Yeah.
yes, there's no documents on, or no notes on.
Can you give us kind of a thumbnail of what the comments and insights that the group shared with you were?
Yeah, I think you put it in that one.
So, I know the 403B contribution was,
The
I
biggest.
think that was a top priority.
Okay.
That, we ordered them in my notes there today.
Yeah, she found it.
So the 403B was a big one. The,
That bottom
yep,
part.
the HSA, yep. We talked about how much and how frequent, and then
Oh, it's right, this.
what about, those, district employees that don't take insurance and what that would look like?
They don't, they already get a cash in lieu of $5,500 if you
Sure.
don't take the district insurance,
Sure.
so you wouldn't be able to double dip on that.
Well, they just were showing this, they were showing concern that they would be left out of this one.
Sure, yeah.
So, that's their,
By
That-
choice, because they wouldn't be taking the
Right.
district insurance,
Hey,
yeah.
your job was to get some feedback
Yep.
and you
Yeah.
did, so
Yeah,
thank you, yeah. What else?
and then the third that we picked was the alternative pay, looking for other ways to, compensate besides pay. And one of the biggest takeaways, it was extremely clear nobody wanted to move to PTO. That was
Okay.
readily, like, everyone was like, no.
Interesting,
that was unanimous,
Yeah,
actually, that was the
it
only
was-
thing we had a unanimous
And they
vote
wanted to
on.
make sure that was set.
The rest was pretty in-depth conversation.
Yeah.
That's interesting, cause at the middle school, the same thing happened.
Well, they're the opposite, like,
No, the
I
same
know,
thing.
right?
okay, yeah, okay.
Did you guys have that at the high school or?
What's that?
We had, we had 3 people, that, I just looked for top priorities.
Yeah, but did you have conversation and PTO came up like that or
No.
Okay,
We just sent around a survey.
okay.
One of the other things that we talked about in terms of like alternative pay, like, coming up with a list of what that would look like for, how would that look?
yep.
And I think that's what we
That's
would do.
we'll frame it more if
Sure.
it goes
Th-
in that
and that's-
direction.
yep.
But I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, but we're not going to be able to do 403B and HSA. So it's gonna have to be one or the other, and I don't know if you wanna take that back and have those discussions again with your, I thought I kinda made that clear the last time, but maybe let me just make it very clear, we cannot do both.
You know what, we
Yeah, you
talked
said
about one or
yeah.
the other, we
One
didn't
is-
say they were,
Okay,
and more chose the 403B.
More chose the
conversation
403,
was they
okay.
leaning more towards that,
That's
okay.
yeah, no, it was, we
because I'm
clarified
seeing
there's
it
a
when you look at
separation.
the middle school, they're the top 2 again, but when we say we're gonna pick 3, it's gonna have to be HSA or 403B and then 2 others.
403B was the one.
The one in
from our
yours,
building,
got it.
yes.
I feel like, speaking for the people that don't take our insurance, I think they would prefer the 403B because then it would be open and eligible to everybody. But that's just,
Probably.
That's your, you feel like that's your
I feel
opinion?
like that's
Okay.
probably my building's,
Okay,
cause we have quite a few people that they made the comment that said, well, the insurance doesn't really matter to me cause I don't take it,
okay,
so.
yours is right here, right?
Yeah, we also had, a couple comments that got emailed to us. Let's see. They asked if there was going to be time, between the time that we picked our top 3 to, shape them and get some ideas on what it would look like so that they could vote again. I wasn't clear on that, I didn't really know, I said I thought that once we got our top three, that was our top three.
Yeah, we have
Correct.
to make a decision, yeah, we know our timelines are pretty
Yep,
tight here,
that's what I
so-
kinda said.
Yep.
Okay, and then it says, moving forward with the idea of PTO, which we just kinda talked about, they weren't in favor of that, and then, it said the amount of matched for the HSA would be determined by whether or not the HSA contributions will be made, which is, I'm assuming that this person meant if you don't contribute, they're not going to match anything, right? That's
But
correct.
HSA is different, you mean 403B, HSA would
I
just
mean,
be,
yes, 403B, that's
Okay,
what I meant, cause
yes,
HSA is the health, and if you
Yep.
didn't take it, then,
then there's, yeah,
okay,
Right.
so
and then-
they just put that,
yep, they just said the amounts are gray at this time, correct? And yes,
Yeah.
cause we didn't have a set amount, we didn't
Right,
have
yep.
an exact, okay. That was it.
alright. Chris, oh, yep, there you go.
Yeah, I just, put in the survey results of, I just asked them for their top priority.
So I think we'll just take the PTO off the table and go back over here really quick if you don't
I
mind.
think though, that was one of interest, just reviewing the time off structure. Like,
Yeah,
oh, but just getting rid of PTO.
yeah, that wouldn't be a point of, that C there would go away. Or actually, I'm sorry, 5 would go away, the review the current time off structure, cause we wouldn't be transitioning to PO. So are we all okay with taking number 5 off the table? Striking it?
Yeah, and, a discussion of the time off structure, more of a handbook type of thing.
Yeah.
So that, your colleagues that are on that committee, maybe that's one to cast forward to them.
Strike this.
Yeah.
Well, whatever, we'll do that later. Okay, so that leaves us with 4. I didn't hear much about increase in pay for professional development.
Didn't
There
have
was
any.
no
Didn't really
interest in that?
care.
I didn't have.
Yeah,
any.
I didn't
Huh.
hear, or the people I talked to about it didn't seem, at the high school anyway, didn't seem too
Yeah.
interested.
Are we gonna strike that one as well?
Well, how is this gonna work if we have to get it down to 3, but
Yeah.
then the 2 that are our top 2 are either or?
Yep, so
So, I
it's
mean-
gonna have to be, we'd have to leave the increased pay for professional development on the table, or you go with 2 rather than 3? I mean,
Well, if we're gonna pick between HSA and 403B, what's the consensus?
I think
403B seems to be
Because
more
that
of a-
gives an equal opportunity for everyone to contribute to it.
Right. So could we just strike the HSA then, part, and then look at the other options we have
That-
left?
is that what you guys, okay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna highlight it. Red means go away.
That'll work.
I don't know how to strike through on Google Docs.
So, well, since you're crossing out number 5, just to be clear, the elementary school was against PTO. They were
Yep.
against that structure.
But the
I
current,
don't think they're against
but
B.
that becomes then a
Handbook issue.
a handbook.
Yep.
Once
Okay.
you pull the
It's not really
PTO,
changing the compensation,
Yeah,
it's
right.
just reallocating.
yeah, reallocating
Okay.
how you change those
Okay.
days. Yep.
So then does that automatically mean those are the 3?
Well, by default it does, but
We had one other question at the middle school, will there be a limit to how much, you can, okay, compensation other than pay, is there going to be a limit on how much you can earn/use? So that was one of the questions that was asked at the middle school.
yeah, we would have to put a cap on some
But again,
sort
I
of-
said we hadn't really talked about it because we don't have our top 3 yet.
Yeah. So I would say, this is similar to what, if anybody was in here on that technology, the technology thing where you did so much PD and you earned a personal day, it would be something similar to that.
Okay.
And it probably would be capped at 3 extra, just making this up, 3 extra personal days in a year. I don't know, that would be something that we would need to discuss if that's what you guys wanted to do moving forward.
Yeah, just kind of from the district view, we need to be able to manage
Yeah.
a good day in the classroom for kids when people are out. So for us to just say it would be open-ended and people could take as many days and take them whenever would not be responsible, because we have some limits. So there would be some limits that would be put in on it. I don't know exactly what that would look like now, but there would have to be some control measures in place so that we could still have a productive day of learning for kids in the schools.
So do we wanna talk about, let's talk about the 403B contribution, because that seems to be where most everybody's going. From a financial standpoint, we have roughly 136 employees, so when you do the 136, if you do 500, I think that's 68,000, and then if you do 1,000, it's 136,000. So, from a financial standpoint, sustainability, 500, is obviously 68,000 is sustainable for us if we were to do a match of 500 each year, and then, maybe we put the caveat in there that we review the amounts to see if they can be modified year after year depending on how it, shapes out with state aid, the revenue limits, et cetera. I think $500 is a good place to start. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I think
I think it's a great place to start,
Yeah.
being that we have nothing, you know what I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're gaining
Yeah.
something.
yeah,
Yeah, $500 more than what's going on
That's
right now.
right.
Yeah, we didn't even throw that out there, so that's, yeah.
You know, there's all kinds of positives that come with something like that as well, because not everybody is saving.
yeah,
So this is an incentive to get
exactly.
people that maybe aren't, knowing that they're gonna get some free money with this.
Yeah, to get started with it,
Yeah.
yeah.
And because it's a match, that would be 1,000, that
Yeah.
actually
Yes.
gets saved, that's
Right, yeah.
So this is gonna
Over
require
years.
some extensive work on the back end to get it up and running on the employee side as well as the district side, because they're all, if they don't have a 403B, they're gonna have to open one up. That's the only way that this is going to work. Then the match would come at the end of the year, so it would come right on that June 30th mark, because they would have to have made their contributions, and then the district would say, okay, you've made it, you're gonna get the match, you'll see it deposited into your account.
Okay.
Would it be possible to discuss something like if you've been here for 10 years, you would get a % increase, 20 years, 50 years, whatever, something like that? Cause I think we had kinda talked about that before, to keep teachers.
You mean going into the future that,
That the match would go up.
Yeah,
as
Some
the
you
longer,
increments.
the longer
you
you've
have,
been
I see
here,
what you're saying, yep. I don't know how
The
you guys
bigger-
feel about that.
you know, the larger the match, I don't know, I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, I mean, that would be good for trying to retain people, I think,
Yeah,
for sure.
For people that have been here maybe 20 years, and, that would be a good incentive.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk ideas about vesting schedules when this
We-
one was
we-
discussed?
I've mentioned that we talked about the vestment, that it would be vesting after 5 years. That's typically what it is, after an employee is here for, what that means is when it's our money for the first 4.99 years. When you hit 5 years, then it becomes the employee's money. And if they were to leave after that, they could take it with them. If they left before that, it comes back to the district. So there is a vesting period, with it. And that just protects us, and, I think that's only fair.
Clarification, so 4 years since this process starts, not 4 years with the district.
Well, you would only start it when you started to become an employee. Yes, I'm sorry, for anybody that's still here, yes, that it would start, the clock would start right now, and it would be 5 years that would become your money.
Okay.
Would that affect people who are within retirement age for 5 years?
If they're within retirement age of 5 years and they've been here, they have a different retirement structure already in place.
Okay.
That's a different conversation with them,
So, it
but
wouldn't- so this particularly wouldn't affect them?
no, we wouldn't say you can't retire, have to stay here.
if you want your $5,000, you have to stay.
Sorry, you don't get to leave. No, we would probably give them a free pass.
Sure.
There's all sorts of things that and we have to talk to our legal counsel too on this and make sure that we get it all set up correctly, but, maybe between now and next week, if you guys wanna go out and research what other districts are doing, if they have a 403B match, how they structure those, if there is a match, how much is it, if there's a percentage increase based off the years that you've been there. If you guys wanna do a little research and bring it back, that always works.
Just a quick question,
So let's just say that I open up a 403B and let's say I only put $300 in there, so the match, you would match up to 500. So I put in 3, you put in 3.
Correct,
I put in 7, you put in 5.
correct. We cap it at 5.
Sure.
We won't just do 5, it'll be, you have to do 5 as well.
What's that?
Yes, you said it right.
Okay.
I was just reiterating that.
Yeah, everything's again.
Yeah.
Match up to 500.
And the money gets put in at the end of the year, but if you were to leave before those 5 years, then the money is just returned back to the school?
Yep.
Okay.
So your contributions
My
would
whole
always be your
Yeah,
own?
yours or
Yeah,
your
okay.
own.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
district's kind
Sorry,
of.
yes, I meant that, I just
Yeah,
didn't say it.
yep.
So if you stay for 1 year, you
Yeah.
get your $500, but the district.
But the district
gets
gets
their 500 back.
That's a good incentive to wanna stay.
Alright, any other questions about that? Are we all in agreement on the dollar amount, but maybe we'll have more discussion about the structure and how the increases may happen based off of years of service, stuff like that.
You feel pretty confident that 500 is
Yeah.
doable? Okay.
Yep.
The one thing I would like to bring up, when we look at what's in the handbook with the current retirement, you know, where people fell into that retirement like I did, you know, that where in the handbook it says, what's it, 2012? The retirement item that's in the
No, I know what
handbook
you're talking
right
about,
now.
yeah, I just don't know the verbiage of
I
it.
can't remember the years,
Yeah.
but there were some people at the time that were close to getting into that, but didn't get into it. And so when we were talking about the, if you've been here longer, you know, that little extra would be kind of a benefit on that, I don't know.
Yeah,
That's just
it gets
something
kind of sticky because we don't individually negotiate
Right,
with
right.
staff members,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what we have to do, what we do has to be for the greater good of
Yep.
everybody,
Yeah.
but
No, I was
do you
just,
wanna frame that up maybe a little bit better?
Well, you know, I'd ask you, it's good food for thought.
No,
so
yeah,
thank you.
that's
Yep.
kind of what it is.
Yeah.
And
It's more
between
of-
now and when we meet again, maybe see if there's examples or think about some ideas or talk with others about, so what would a bigger match look like
Yeah,
over time? You know, if you said, hey, the vesting schedule's 5 years, but you're 6 through, I don't know, 6 through 10 or 6 through 15, you get a little bit
Bit
more,
more.
a little bit
Okay.
more, a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Okay,
and if we're gonna, one thing to think about is if they've given credit for years of service already, stuff
Yeah.
like that, those are all
Yeah.
things to look for when you're out looking at other school districts.
it was
Cause that
just,
would be something also is to, you know, give that credit of, you know, if
Yeah.
you've been here for 25 years, you automatically get,
it's just when the current, and I'm just bringing this up just
Yep.
because this is what happened, you know, when the current change came, there were a bunch of people that were really close to that and that got cut off and they kind of felt like they got,
we like to call that the
Rub-
donut hole,
okay,
because
and
that's
so,
what happens, yeah.
yeah, and so,
There's always that middle group,
yeah, and,
yep,
you know, and so I'm looking at them right
Yep.
now,
And
how
Yep.
we can help them.
yeah, I think just a really good illustration of why whatever we bring forward needs to be sustainable.
Right, right,
If it's sustainable,
Yeah.
those things stand a lot
Yeah.
better chance of
Yeah.
enduring over time.
and for the younger people, as far as the employees, I mean, if they can do this for 25 years, that's a lot of multiplying, you know, and that's really benefits them, you know.
alright, so we'll see what we can come up with. And you can put, whatever you find, put it into this folder as separate documents. So if you, for different school districts, you're gonna download their employee handbooks or wherever they put it, wherever you find it, put it into that certified staff compensation folder. But if you wouldn't mind putting them as separate documents so that we can review them within here. And that'll help us shape it.
So we'll kind of title, you're talking about wherever, whatever district we find from, and then obviously if we see somebody already got it, then we'll leave it out, so we don't
Yeah,
have a big.
yep,
Okay.
Yeah, and, you know, just send ones forward that you think are worth us exploring further.
Mhm.
You know, there may be some that you see out there that are like, you know, that's nothing to get too excited about, but if
Yeah.
you see something that is, you think would be scalable here, then let's have that conversation and then include that.
okay. Well, even though nobody picked it, I guess we're going to go ahead and increase that, those professional development days. Why don't we do this also? This is another go out and grab type of thing, because I know it's out there. Look at other districts and see what they pay for PD days.
PD days.
Yeah, and then we'll come back and see if we can, you know, place ourselves somewhere, however we decide. And you know, if you guys wanna, for this, you could probably stick to the Heart of the North conference on the PD days if you're able to find some good examples. If you wanna expand it, that's fine too, but we typically compare ourselves to the Heart of the North when we do these types of things. The 403B, you might have to expand that, because I don't know if everybody in the Heart of the North has a retirement structure in place. All right, compensation other than pay. What are we thinking? Well, actually, do you have any thoughts on this before we go forward?
I'm interested in what people are thinking.
Okay. What are you thinking?
Well, I know when we talked about this at the elementary level, you know, we said, you know, email anybody that's not representing this team
Mhm.
or this committee, and that, you know, we'll take your feedback back here, and, but it didn't happen, you know,
No, you didn't get any emails?
no.
Oh, okay.
And I shared our email was, they wanted to know how you could use it.
Mhm.
How much you could, what's the limit that you could,
Yep.
cap off at? So those were our two questions.
So I think it would be a personal day.
Okay.
It would come in the form of personal day. Since we've all come to consensus that we're not gonna look at transitioning to PTO, it would come in the form of a personal day. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. I think we would have to cap them. I don't know what that is. You know, we can have further discussions, but like Dr. Eslin said, we have to maintain operations within the district, so.
So when you say cap them, do you mean like you can only keep 5?
No, you can only
Or
earn up
you
to,
can only earn up to
right, so many.
7, or
Yeah.
like just throwing out a number,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
7
Yeah.
or something like that?
Some set figure
Yeah,
is what we
yep,
would
we'd have to adjust that. I would anticipate that we will also have to adjust the amount that you can roll each year. If we're gonna give more personal days, we're gonna have to adjust, it's 5 right now, correct? You can roll up to 5. We probably would have to adjust that slightly depending on what that number becomes.
The question did come up, are personal days rolling over to a full sick day when they roll over?
I don't understand
So
your
if you
question.
have your personal days, you didn't use any, all 5 don't roll over to having 5 more for the next, only 2 of them roll over, right?
2, yes.
Yeah, oh, you're not, if you're at 5 and you don't use any, if you're at
Right.
3 personal days roll over the
But you
following.
don't lose them,
You don't lose them.
they go to sick days.
Several of the staff thought that they were rolling over as half sick day.
Right, when you've reached the cap, but if you get 3 in a year and say you're starting, you just have 3, right? Those 3 roll over to the next year as personal days, and then you could get 3 more, then you'd have 6. If you used 1, you can roll all 5 to the next year, correct?
I thought
No,
the
you
cap
can't
was
have
5.
Yeah, you can roll 5, that's what I said, you can roll 5 to the next
No,
So
year.
that's your question, what happens beyond 5 then?
Yeah,
if
then
we
they go,
haven't
that's what
used
I'm saying, you get 5 that you can roll, above that, yes, then they get transferred to sick leave, but it's not a 1-to-1 transfer.
It's not a 1-to-1.
It's a 2-to-1, right, or a 5,
I kinda got lost there for a second.
That was some of the, that was
Because-
some of the discussion with
because-
this
did you
particular.
review, it's,
You get,
all of this is in the handbook.
you get 5
So that would be my
personal
answer.
days that
Yeah.
you can get, you get 3 a year.
Right.
But you can accumulate up to 5, and if you don't use, 5, the top 2 get rolled into sick days.
Yeah, so you're always getting, that's what I
Yeah,
was
so
going
you
with.
always
Get
have a 3 in there.
Yeah, you always have 3 personal
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
So when those 2 roll in, her question is, do you get two
Two
full
sick
sick
days.
days, or are you only getting one sick day?
I think it's two.
Yes, it's 2
Yeah.
full sick days that roll.
Okay,
I thought you were
that's what I was
saying,
asking.
Yeah.
oh,
Okay.
I thought you were saying the whole 5 of them go,
No.
which I
No,
don't.
this
Just
is
the
what
test.
You
this,
had people
that-
in your building that were
they-
under the
there
impression
was-
that it was
yes,
something
the impression
less
that
than
those
Yeah.
2 days that are rolling over into sick days turn into 1 sick day.
No, there,
But
there
yeah,
should be
when I
two.
looked it up, I said what you said, but then there was, so I thought maybe something had changed in the handbook, cause that's what I thought it rolled into a sick day, so then I got confused too, I'm like, well,
But that is correct.
We'll
It
get
is.
some, we'll
A day
get
for a day.
confirmation on that and make sure that we're having that,
Well, and I think that was some of the concern with this idea too, like, well, I mean,
yeah.
I don't want my personal days then to
Fi-
count as half if they
Personal
need to
leave
go.
is cumulative up to a maximum of 5 days. Excess personal leave will be added to the total accumulated sick leave at the end of each school year. So it doesn't say that it was 2 for 1 or a different amount. Those go over to sick leave. So if you wanna direct them to 6.05, the 1, 2, 3, the 5th bullet point.
I did, I had it up even, I'm like,
And they
"Oh,
just
it
don't
doesn't
believe
say
it, huh?
that." It's okay.
But it is a little unclear. because it
Excess
doesn't say
personal
day
leave.
for day or-
Yeah.
If it was gonna be something other than a day, it would say, it would
Would say
clearly
something
say,
else. It should,
it
yeah.
would,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excess is, so if there's 2 excess, you get 2 days.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Alright. I lost my train of thought over where we were going with this. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so, hey, I just kinda wanna talk about when people are out of the building. So, in our district, our first priority is to fill when people call in sick, right? Because we can't say, oh, you can't be sick today, we don't have enough people to cover down. So that's why the kinda untethered personal days get difficult. Because we do need to make the best day possible for kids in the classroom. And particularly in the springtime and on Fridays and Mondays, it gets tough. Boy, and you see it firsthand out there, you know, working in classrooms, it gets difficult. So, great idea and fine concept, but we need to be able to execute it here, and that's one of our screening pieces, that it's gotta be doable with what we have, so we just need to be mindful of that.
And that's where the cap in each building comes into play. You know, we allow 5 for those, everybody knows that, right?
In each building.
In each building. Or, yes, 5.
I
5.
thought it was districts.
It's different for classified and for certified, so it's 5 per each, yes. So, that's where that cap comes in, but we know that, obviously we have those hot times a year when people want to be out, and just requires planning on the employee's part to get those personal days in earlier, I guess. And of course, if they don't use them, it's gonna go to sick leave.
Can I just ask a question? I don't know if I've seen it, but like, let's say the Friday of graduation, that's probably a hot day for people to take off. So if it's filled in your building, that there are already 5 people out or whatever the combination is or whatever, does that principal send an email and say, you know, just letting you know, Friday,
I think we had 3
We will
at
give an,
graduation last
yeah.
year, where we said, okay.
but do we do that here?
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
so
okay.
if we,
Okay.
if we can
Anytime.
cover down,
Okay,
then
yeah.
we're able to,
Okay,
on a case-by-case basis, overshoot that, but not as a standing practice.
Okay.
But
We
your
just
example
got
of graduation day, yeah,
that's a good example,
Yeah.
because we will never not let a parent obviously be off for their child's graduation,
Yeah.
but,
cause in my other district, we used to get emails quite frequently, like, just letting you know, Friday the 7th, Friday the 13th, Friday the da-da-da-da.
We would- it's-
Like, please don't try and take a personal day, cause I'm gonna deny it,
Yep.
basically,
Hey,
so.
I've sent those emails to
Yeah.
other districts,
So
so
I
that's
didn't
the way it
know
goes.
if that was something that we did
Yeah.
here or not.
that's your building administrator,
Okay.
who should be tracking that and should be saying, you know, heads up.
I just don't
on those
remember
hot
ever
tickets.
seeing one, I think, so I just didn't know
Yeah.
if it was something that we did.
They should,
here.
I mean,
It's
it's
just a
not-
nice courtesy thing.
yeah, and that's a discussion to take back maybe to your leadership team and to your building principal and say, hey, you know, could you just let us know when we're reaching, you know, last week probably would have been another good example, we had Monday, no, we didn't have, you guys didn't have Monday off, right? You had,
PD
it was
day.
PD. If you would have had Monday off,
Friday.
Friday probably would have been a hot day to take off too, So, or this Friday tends to be a hot day because it's the Berkey, so we have a lot of people that take it off. But yeah, have that discussion with your building administrator. They have the ability to see it.
Well, and I know in our building, he's sent us the staff emails like, you know, that this Friday's filled up or this day's filled
Oh,
up.
so
yeah.
you're getting it. So, yeah, there you
I
go.
just haven't seen it, so maybe it hasn't happened in our building yet.
Maybe.
You haven't reached your cap.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's the case, but at any rate, that's kind of the priority of
Mm-hmm.
Phil, so, yeah. And what we really try to avoid is pulling people off of PD days or saying, hey, you can't take a personal day now because we got all these people that are gonna be out sick. We're just really trying to manage that in a way that we don't have those situations. So definitely some balance has to be struck in this.
So, if we were gonna give days, what would we give them for? They would have to do what in order to earn them? That's really gonna be the ultimate.
Like clean the bathrooms
Yeah,
or.
right? We're gonna have to do something good. No. So is it gonna be you attend some sort of PD and therefore you earn these days? How do you wanna do that? I mean,
What are people saying out there when you're talking to them about this?
What about like collaborative time outside of school hours?
is that what they're talking about?
Well, I know we'll be doing more of that.
Next year?
Especially if there's shifts with like the
'Cause we're
block
sharing
scheduling
subjects.
and stuff like that.
So how would you structure that? How do you, what are your thoughts?
Well, I don't know, let's have some
Yeah, how
conversation
would you
here.
structure?
How would we do that?
Is there something like, I know I teach a morning club and, you know, we clock in and clock out, is there an option to do something like that, like,
Nope, because that's gonna flow through to our payroll system.
Okay.
So yep, that's another, but brings a segue into another good point. It has to be manageable. So it's gotta be something that can be manageable for your building administrator, for Trish, and, you know, just so we're not having spreadsheets upon spreadsheets of tracking all of these.
yeah, is there a
Yep.
system that would
Uh,
track that? I mean, like, I know, I'm just speaking for the technology right now that we're doing, we have to fill out a Google form and then,
That's what I was just gonna say, Google Docs.
I mean, and then
probably.
someone is tracking those hours, but
Yep,
it's
so remember
more
it-
on
it was
that
a-
person.
It was a very small group. What'd you have in your group?
I think there's 20 of us.
20, yep. So would you have to get 8 hours of time?
But it was set up that you earned the 8 hours, and if you didn't get 8 hours, then, sorry, but you didn't get your 8 hours.
Yeah.
So,
Yep, so it would have to, we couldn't do it that way. We couldn't pre-give out days. It would have to be a tracking mechanism, and then once you earned it, then you would get it.
yeah, cause
So-
this I think is at the end of March or April, then we'll be given our days. We had to put in our time first, obviously.
So, that would be my only thing, is that it has to be manageable. You know, I think right now, obviously if you attend a PD day, outside of school day, you get paid for it, so you could have the option to say, well, I'd rather have, rather than the, but if you're smart, you're gonna take the personal day, cause it's worth more to you, money wise. You could say, I'd rather have the personal day rather than get paid, you could have that option, up to 3, if you attend a professional development during the summer. You know, we do anticipate that, we would have some more training this year for the PLC stuff and,
It's just the way it's gonna go
Yeah.
in the future.
yeah, you know, we're gonna
We're-
have more stuff over the
We're
summer.
doing more initiatives and
Yep.
more training comes with it, so I
So
would
that-
say that's a given.
Yep, so I would say that's a good way to do it, so that people would have the option, you know, I would likely see it being, we'd have 2 different types of signups. You're either gonna sign up and you wanna get paid, or you're gonna sign up and you wanna add a personal day to your bank.
Do you think you could go back and poll your colleagues and say, hey, we're kinda trying to narrow down on this, what might be some ideas of how this could work?
So we've talked about earned days off, but there's 2 other things on there, and I apologize, I don't remember what the context was about leave early on Fridays or half days.
I don't,
I think Mark had mentioned those, didn't you?
I don't remember the Friday thing.
I'm gonna
I was
go
trying to
back up
figure
to
that
that.
out.
No, cause remember the middle school kinda laughed, we were like,
Cause
"Oh,
half
we."
days, yeah, they really on
But
Fridays.
I guess maybe if we go back to the half day, would it be possible?
There it is, right there.
Yeah, it came out of our meetings.
Would it-
I don't, people were just sharing what they've heard from other districts, and so that one of the thought, I remember them talking about the leave early on Fridays and just saying like, you just don't have to stay until 3:30 on Fridays, but I don't think it was you leave at 2.
Yeah, you got kids, you gotta stay. That would be my only concern is that,
But I
like,
will say,
I'm out.
yeah,
Done.
spend a day at noon, I'm
Have a
out.
good weekend, kids.
Somebody will be around to check on you.
But like, for us at the middle school, I don't
well-
know how that, you know what I mean, like, I don't think
when
our-
it came up in the second meeting, they were like, no, that one doesn't sound worth it, because
Okay, so I'm gonna take off that, is that okay? Just leave early on Fridays, I just don't know. That's kind of something that we, do you want to talk about that? Or you wanna just let the building administrators, yeah, we're just gonna take that off.
Yeah.
And I know some people brought up, like, but it might be because it's an elementary thing, it might not work, but like we have family reading night, and we have the carnival, and we have a lot of night events for our family and our kids that we're asked to volunteer our time to do, to set up after school and then be at it, and there's no
So that could be that trade-off.
conversation of any kind.
Yeah.
So that, I know that was a conversation
Yep,
I had.
Sure.
that'd be a good, that's a good, a
So
trade-off.
it's okay that even though it's just an elementary thing?
But I don't
Well,
think
I
it's
think
an
you guys
elementary,
have-
because we
Okay.
have some things too,
Sure.
you
Yep.
know.
Okay.
does the high school have enough stuff too?
That's what was brought to me quite a bit.
I think that even though the high school may not have those evening activities that we see a lot of, there might be that PDE opportunity or,
Yeah, we have some people who have clubs,
Yeah.
and they're not paid positions that I think do work all after school.
Yep.
And if that accumulates,
yep.
you know,
A half day, what was the half day? Do you remember what the half day was?
Was that the question, if we earned a half day, could we get a half day versus a full day?
Oh.
Was that, like if we were to earn 8 hours, you got a full day, but
So-
if you did 4 hours, you could get a half a personal day, was that what it was?
So the ability to earn in increments smaller than
So a
the
full
8
or a
hour.
half?
Okay.
I might
Is that what it was?
be, I don't remember the half day part.
So you could take them
I
in
just remember.
increments of half or full, so I would say you could earn them in increments or half or full.
They probably would appreciate that, cause I imagine someone who did 6 hours and they're like, oh.
It would, yeah, well, we'd have to talk about that.
And that's kind of a departure then from the try one that we're doing with the tech, where it's like, you're either earning a day or you're earning nothing,
Sorry, you
so-
got 7.5 hours.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would say
so,
that it would
yeah.
have to be half or full though, so, if you get 6, you're gonna revert down to a half, you're not gonna revert up,
I think
so,
people would be okay with that.
yeah,
Or
so.
you try and
Or
do
you try to go
PE
for the
to get
full
up to the
8.
8
Yep,
or
yep.
something,
Yeah,
which
Yep.
that's an incentive too, to.
Yeah,
sure.
Yep,
or you volunteer for the next event after school.
yeah, so I
Yes.
think, we would just likely talk about, and if you guys, if you're looking at other districts, see if there's a cap, what the cap is, how that structure works.
No, we're thinking of like sustainability, so we were talking for the Christmas concert this year. So it was on a Friday night,
Mhm.
several staff were all around the building.
Mhm.
So currently there's no compensation, so it would be like an added piece,
The
right? So that's-
compensation, it would be, if you say you're there for 3 hours, you could
that would be
document
towards
that.
your personal or
Yep.
day
Yep.
and whatnot.
Yep.
Could we just, as a K-12, could you start a Google Doc and we could just throw in there things that we think? Because, I mean, I guess it's not clear. I mean, like, spring fling, do we have to be there? Or is it something that we volunteer for and over time it's just been expected that you're there type thing? So that we could look at that, so that we would have a good list, or no?
I think it's a good conversation to take back out and have in your buildings.
Okay.
Obviously, it's gonna have to be school business. okay?
Yes.
It can't be, some ancillary activity that might be happening in the school or a community activity or something like that.
But is that
But
something that we
it'll
should
look a
do?
little different in each building, so that's why I'm saying, maybe go back and have the conversation about what that would look like in your buildings, because we've gotta be able to scale this to the district level. We've gotta, it can't be, well, you're gonna get hours for the spring fling, but you're not gonna get it for family math night or something like that. We're not gonna do that. We've gotta be able to kinda, I don't know, come up with classifications or categories or types of events that we're able to count.
And remember, this has to be applicable to all staff, it's not no, I'm sorry, we do classify staff differently, don't we?
But-
We meet with them.
But,
separately. But it does have to be,
You know,
I'm sorry, you
all
guys.
certified staff
so
have
many
gotta
going
be a
on.
little.
I
bit-
know,
yeah,
that's why I
yeah.
was warning you,
Yeah.
since it's an elementary, but.
It
Yeah.
does have to
Very good
be
ask, but it's a middle
applicable.
school thing too, so, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can't exclude them because because they may not be at, but again, if they're gonna be at those afternoon or evening activities, you know, the Christmas concert, if you have a paraprofessional there, they're getting paid for it because they are clocking in and clocking out for that, so.
Really good ideas and conversation. Let's just make sure collectively as a group that we nail this one, because we do want it to be sustainable. And you know, it's kinda like the Hippocratic oath that physicians take. We don't wanna make anything worse than it is right now. We don't wanna cause any harm. Whatever we're gonna bring forward, we want it to be a good thing.
And when we look at it as a staff member, if there was something at the high school and they needed some supervision, that I could still go between elementary, middle school, or high school.
I would say it would have to be in your building because, you know, elementary's probably always looking for supervision at that elementary concert, I would imagine. But it's
Well,
not
actually,
gonna
this
be
would
a,
help.
it's not going to, and also though, it's just not gonna be a free-for-all. It's not gonna be, we're gonna have to put some structure around, okay, we need 10 teachers that night. It's not gonna be all of a sudden we've got 50 teachers show up to supervise because they're trying to get to 8 hours and they wanna hit that mark.
The reason why I was asking,
Yeah.
if you said that you didn't have any activities at the high school, I was just
Yes,
wondering if
no,
that would
but it's a
open
good segue into the conversation of we do have to we have to have some
That's what I
capping
wanted to
at,
add,
yeah, we can't just let it be a free-for-all.
And in all likelihood, we'd have some process check. It's probably gonna be a principal signing off on
Yeah.
this type stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, that'd be part of that reporting and recording.
Alright. Everybody feel good about these three?
So a little homework to do in the next week here. But really good list of stuff. Good job on that.
To look at other districts.
But I mean, like, we don't have anything
You're feeling pretty confident that that 500, up to 500 match, we'd be pretty solid
Yep.
with that one going
Yep.
forward. Yeah, I think that came up as maybe
We-
questions that you'd carried back, at least a few different people, so that's maybe a good one to go back and share.
Any other questions? So the three, just to recap, 403B contribution, even though nobody chose it, increase in pay for professional development. And then the compensation other than pay, i.e. earning a day off, personal
I
day
just
off.
have to say, we did talk about in our building, but they were afraid if they chose that one, that the 403B wouldn't go through.
Oh, no, I figured one of those two were gonna go through anyway, so.
I mean, it was a conversation, we were positive, but we just,
No,
Yeah,
it didn't get anywhere because that one had such a higher.
yep,
because those two took out.
Right,
Alright.
yeah.
Well, that conversation came up, and you brought this up too. You were talking about equity, right?
Yes, I mean, it
Well,
wasn't that it was a negative.
They also brought up like, well, your day off is worth more than
yeah,
those
but that's
PD
where
days,
that's where the
so-
cap comes in though,
Yeah.
because then, you know, you'd have to say, well, you know, you're gonna get the ability to earn 3 personal days, well then at some point you're gonna have to attend a PD and have to be paid for it rather than, right, but you'd be given that option. Or if you used up all of your time attending or concerts or after-school activities and then it came to maybe we have PD during the summer, then you don't have another option but to get paid for it. So you probably would rather get paid a little bit more than the $100 right now.
That's true.
Alright,
Okay.
I think we're done, unless you guys have other questions, concerns.
Thank you. Good work.